So, I heard you like short, easy to understand and straight to the point guides. Here are 10 things that I wish I knew before starting Throne Liberty. Every gear piece, item, material, food ingredient or any random thing you can obtain as a loot or a reward has a tooltip that is called How to Acquire. Clicking on any item, then going to this icon will open up a new window where it shows all the possible ways where this item can be obtained, separated by different categories like dungeons, merchants, gathering and so on. Clicking on any of these will take you even deeper into that specific game system and show you even more details on how and where to obtain that item. These tooltips can also be used for checking which traits can be unlocked by clicking on any gear item and selecting this icon. New window opens and shows every single trait that this gear piece can drop with or be unlocked. If you have a gear item that is also sellable on the auction house, clicking on this icon will open up an auction house and show you that exact gear item with the exact same trait, already applying all the filters and making it easy to sell. Each weapon has its own mastery tree and its own different stats. It can be leveled up naturally just by playing the game and killing mobs and bosses with the weapons, or with weapon mastery elixirs that can be dropped from doing contracts, dungeons and other various activities. This is how weapon mastery stats work. If you're holding a specific weapon in your hand, for example longbow, all the stats that are active will be constantly active as long as you're using longbow skills and holding a longbow. In this case, dagger weapon mastery is not active at all. However, if you're holding a longbow in main hand and when you use a dagger skill, only during the duration of the skill activation and usage the dagger mastery is active, but the longbow mastery then turns off. After the dagger skill animation is finished, the dagger mastery turns off and longbow mastery turns on. This works vice versa as well if you were to hold a dagger in the main hand. That's why many builds will recommend a specific weapon to always be in your main hand, mainly due to better masteries among other things. You probably already know that the game has this thing called shapeshifting. There are various shapeshifting monsters available for you to obtain and acquire through quests and other activities. They allow you to shapeshift into a monster in a specific area that has those types of monsters. For example, if you shapeshift into a spider and go into an area filled with spiders, they will not aggro and attack you. They are mostly used in open world dungeons where you just want to do the codex quests and not have to worry about aggroing the whole open world dungeon and dying. This way you can stroll through all the monsters without a care in the world. You probably heard 100 times already how important it is to join a guild. So here's another reason why you should join a guild. There's this NPC called Guild Merchant, and he sells daily and weekly items for guild coins. Guild coins can be acquired through guild donations and completing guild contracts. The reason why Guild Merchant is important is because he sells potions. These potions can only be consistently obtained at the Guild Merchant. Other than occasional reward in the battle pass or a one-time drop from Tadal Tower, these potions cannot be crafted or obtained in any other way. Every day, do guild donations, do guild rewards, collect guild coins and buy potions. There are other nice things you would also want to buy when you need it for specific things, like trade conversion stones. So always be wary of spending guild coins before daily and weekly resets. If you haven't seen or known by now, in almost every small settlement and big city there is an area filled with training dummies. And they serve one purpose, for you to test your skill build, your rotation, DPS and other things. Keep in mind that these dummies do not have any defense or defensive stats, so the damage numbers would not reflect the real damage. In Castleton, there is also a training dummy NPC that simulates various blockable fury attacks which you can practice and get better at consistently doing them once you start doing dungeons. Training dummies are probably the best way to consistently test out different builds, and while there could be better ways implemented into the game, for now it serves its purpose well enough. The one absolutely best thing Throne of Liberty has is the option of crafting and dissolving items and materials up and down. With the lower tier items you can craft higher tier items, and dissolving higher tier items gives materials needed to craft lower tier items. Dissolving will almost always give you less lower tier materials than it's needed to craft up, but this ultimately means that no item, gear piece or material is useless. The game does not give you useless items, there is always something you can do with it and use it. Always keep in mind that if you need blue parchments to craft blue skill books, you can always dissolve a few purple parchments or purple skill books and then craft blue parchments to then turn it into a blue skill books. Remember, dissolving an item gives a lower tier of that same item, which can then be used to craft other lower tier items. And when needing higher tier items, use excess lower tier items to craft up. Materials like precious marvins, rubies, stallion and emerald have a great value for two things. They are all sellable on the auction house for lucent, and with that, their solant value is also extremely high. One precious marvin sells for 432,000 solant, while rubies, emerald and stallion sell for 288,000 solant. This gives them double value. After spending 20,000 abyssal tokens farming in open world dungeons, most of the time you will end up with a lot of these materials in both blue and purple tier. You will craft up blue ones into purple and then decide what you need more, lucent or solant. I see a lot of PvP players not using and utilizing Astral Vision. It is the best tool for large scale PvP that helps you select and cycle through different targets. But to use it properly you need to set it up first. First you will need correct targeting settings for PvP. Set it to search by order of priority and tick 1, 3, 4 and 5 options. In keybinds you will want to bind a key on Astral Vision based on my character. Pressing that key will open Astral Vision. First in the settings you will want to untick everything and under high priority tick feuds and blocked, and under normal priority tick hostile guilds. This will then filter out all the players that are not hostile to your guild and allow you to use tab to select targets based on Astral Vision distance. Under Astral Vision interval put it on 3 seconds, put Astral Vision range on about 30 meters and click this button, which will automatically use Astral Vision and refresh your target list every 3 seconds. These settings are mostly used in large-scale GVG fights as it can get really messy with a lot of random players. For small scale you can turn it off or set it up so it can filter all the enemy players. Another big thing is setting up correct nameplates. Under Gameplay Settings, under Character tab, scroll down to show character name and change it to User Settings. And set it up like this. It will help you reduce the clutter on your screen and only show names and health of hostile guilds and players, while the rest of the non-hostile and friendly players and guilds will only have a guild mark showing. Under your gameplay settings, go into Controls tab and please for the love of God, tick Skill Buffer. This is the option that allows you to buffer up a skill, which will be used as soon as it is available on its own by the game. Meaning it ignores input lag, it ignores ping and uses the skill as soon as the game allows it. This will make your combat much more fluid, faster and responsive when you can simply queue up another skill while being in a charging animation of another skill. Second most important setting you also want to turn off is camera smoothing, which is located under the camera tab. Simply untick all of these options and enjoy your responsive and camera smoothing free gameplay. When doing open world bosses, the chances of getting a gear drop are very small. That is because open world bosses in peace mode give gear drops based on your individual and party contribution. So only top damage and contribution players will have a chance for a drop. In the conflict with open world bosses, the drop is distributed to a player from a guild that has the highest contribution on the boss. So individual players won't have any chance of getting these drops as only guild contribution matters. To make the matters even worse for players who try to snipe these drops, the gear, if it drops, goes to the guild bank, if that player is in a guild. If you are not in the guild and you get the gear drop, it goes into your inventory. The guild leader can in the guild menu select which settings will be used when it comes to this gear drop. So it is always important to be in a guild that is fair and will distribute those gear items to players who really need them. If nobody needs a dropped gear item, it then can be sold at the auction house and every guild member gets a share in the lucent when it sells. This is why guilds are very important and why your guild needs to be fair. Everyone makes mistakes and learns from them, but you should always learn from other people's mistakes. So click on this video appearing on your screen and learn from my own 13 mistakes I made when first starting out, so you don't make them too.